In this video, we'll be comparing the difference in finding the greatest common factor and the least common multiple when comparing numbers. Now, before I get started, it is important to understand what is a factor and what is a multiple. If you're not sure what those words mean, I had made a previous video in explaining the differences between factors and multiples. Let's start off by comparing the factors and multiples of 18 and 27. So what are the common factors of 18 and 27? Well, both numbers are divisible by 3. 3 goes into 18 6 times. 3 goes into 27 9 times. Do we have any factors that goes into 18 and 27? Both numbers are divisible by 9. When we want to compare common factors of the numbers that we want to compare, we do not want to spend too much time guessing by pressing the division button too many times. Instead, what we want to do is we want to draw out the factor tree. When we want to do multiplication, we do not necessarily have to only take two numbers and multiply them to get the product. We could take more than two numbers and multiply them to get a product. So let's break up 6. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. 9 times 2 is equal to 18. And break it up 9. 3 times 3 times 3 is equal to 27. And note that when we draw out the factor tree, it mostly involves multiplication. So both numbers are divisible by 3. 3 is a common factor of 18. And also we have another 3 as well, which 3 times 3 is equal to 9. Whoops. So 9 times 3 is equal to 27. 9 times 2 is equal to 18. Now, taking our numbers and branching them off using the factor tree, and then keep branching them off and find our prime numbers, and then taking our common factors and then multiplying them together, that is how we find the greatest common factor of the two numbers that we try to compare. Now let's go over the multiples of 27 and 18. So obviously, 27 times a whole number, we would get a multiple of 27. 18 times any whole number would be a multiple of 18. However, we want to find some common multiples of 27 and 18. Something should be like this. Now, how do we find common multiples of the two numbers that we try to compare? Well, one obvious example is take them and multiply them together. So 486 is both a multiple of 27 because we multiply 27 by a whole number, and 486 is also a multiple of 18 because we multiply 18 by a whole number. However, we want to find the least common multiple possible. So one basic way of doing that is we draw out our table of multiples of 27 and our multiples of 18. And look what we have here. A common multiple of 54. So 27 times 2 and 18 times 3 is equal to 54. Now, Instead of drawing out tables of the multiples of our numbers that we want to compare, sometimes we may write a long time drawing a long line of numbers. So instead of drawing a list of numbers, what we want to do is take our prime components of the numbers that we just compared. So to find the least common multiple of 27 and 18, we take the greatest common factor of 18 and 27, and we also want to take the remaining factors that was not grouped in to find the greatest common factor. So why is it that when we want to find the least common multiple of the two numbers that we try to compare, we have to take their greatest common factor and then take the remaining factors that were not grouped in? Well, to explain this, well, we know that 9 is a factor of 18 and 27. Let me draw out some multiples of 9. So 9 is a factor of 18 and 27. Also, 54 is a multiple of 27 and 18. So to take a look at our pattern here, 27 times 2 is equal to 54, and 18 times 3 is equal to 54. Now, again with our least common multiple example, so we have our greatest common factor of 18 and 27, which is 9, and then the remaining factors that was not grouped in our previous example. So 9 times 3 is equal to 18. 18 times 2 is equal to 54. So of course 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 6 is equal to 54.